Hello everybody and welcome back to World of Warships Legends. My name is Spartan Elite 43 and tonight we are back in the Izumo. This time we're doing our very first look at the Izumo. I know, it seems weird to say I'm back in the Izumo and then say it's our first look. Well, let's be honest. We've played these ships pretty much all week at this point, so you guys have seen it. But we got to do the video. So let's get into our commander. We're looking at Takeo Takagi. We're running Paolo de Revel and Scharnhorst as our inspirations. Now, obviously, as always, if you don't have Azulane Scharnhorst, you can use Andrew Cunningham for a little bit better shell grouping, or you can go with pretty much any other inspiration that you like, depending on your playstyle. Okay? But I do recommend Paolo de Revel just to get that a little bit faster reload. Catches a lot of people off guard because they tend to, well, better players tend to like time your reloads kind of in our head. So like when you shoot at us, we'll be like, okay, we've got roughly this much time. And if you fire a couple seconds sooner, you might actually catch somebody off guard. But yeah, we're running Flammable Cannoneer, Gyrating Drill Bits, Marksmanship, and Reaching Out XXL. And we do still have Will to Rebuild on, though again, I'm starting to change over to Fight Fire with Fire because Will to Rebuild never seems to kick in for me because I'm generally solo, okay? Wait, did that? Okay, it did switch. I was a little worried for a second. All right, let's look at the loadout. We are running Aiming Systems Mod 1, Steering Gears Mod 2, Concealment System Mod, and we are running Main Battery Mod 3, okay? We are fully upgraded. We have the Alpha Tester flag, and we have our permanent camo that we made. We have 3 repair parties with this ship, which means if you ran a tank build, which may be something I decide to check out, just because I have not done that yet, but I like to be able to hit the target, especially at range in these Japanese ships, because, let's be honest, they tend to be a tale of two ships. Sometimes they agree with you, and sometimes they just say no. So that is the way it goes. But we do have spotter plane as well. But that's pretty much it. It's just a standard battleship loadout. There's nothing fancy about it. 78,900 hit points, which I think is the second lowest of all of the new battleships. I could be wrong. I'm just going by memory here. Torpedo damage reduction 25%. Main battery is 410 millimeter 10th year types. You get 9 of those in a 3x3 configuration, but they're all at the bow of the ship. But we'll talk about those more in a minute. 19.4 kilometer range with a 25-second reload and a 180-degree turn time of 36.1 seconds. HE shell maximum damage 6,500 with a 30% chance to set fires. And AP shell maximum damage is 14,190. So yeah, these shells slap. Okay. 127 millimeter Type 90 or Type 89 Mod 2s. You get 24 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers, reloading in 6 seconds, firing HE with a maximum shell damage of 2,100 and a 8% chance to set fires. And then you get 155 millimeter third year types. You get 3 of those, reaching out to 5.2 kilometers and reloading in 12 seconds. HE shells with a 2,600 maximum damage and a 10% chance to set fires. For AA, not particularly amazing. 25 millimeter 60 caliber Type 96 Mod 1s, you get 24 of those, doing 43 damage per second, reaching out to 3.1 kilometers. And then you get the 25 millimeter Type 96 Mod 1s that you get crap. To be 60 and then 24, so 84 of those, doing 171 damage per second and 3.1 kilometers. And 127 millimeter Type 89 Mod 2s, you get 24 of those, doing 121 damage per second, reaching out to 5 kilometers. Maneuverability maximum speed 25.2 knots. Running the gyrating drill bits slows us down, so you know, it's to be expected. We're going to be on the slower side. It's about the same speed as Kansas, I believe, so not particularly fast. But the turning circle's pretty decent at 890 meters. Not quite as good as the South Dakota class battleships, but decent. Rudder shift time, 16.8 seconds, is not good. It's not the worst, I don't think, but it's up there. So keep that in mind. And that's with the steering gear. Keep that in mind too. Concealment. Detectability by sea is 14.8, which is, I believe, the worst out of all of the battleships. All of the new battleships, anyway. Detectability by air is 11.3, and guaranteed detectability is always 2, with a detectability while firing in smoke of 16.8 kilometers. So, the interesting thing here is why this ship gets a 14.8 kilometers surface detectability. Like, it's not really any bigger than the rest of the battleships at Tier 8. So why does it... And the Yami, which is built, I believe, on a roughly similar hull, has a 13.8 kilometer concealment with this build. So why is it that Izumo gets the short end of the stick? Somebody will have to explain that to me at some point. But for armor, I mean, she's got all the armor you'd expect. No hidden surprises here. We got 32 millimeters of bow and stern plating, 32 millimeters of upper side plating. It's got a good torpedo belt a little bit. It's 38 millimeters down low, and it's got a good side armor here, 356 millimeters. Again, if you angle this, ain't nobody going through it, so you ain't got to worry about that. Now, the Citadel isn't quite as blocky as the Yami. You're not as likely to get the through the cheek Citadel, but if they over angle, there is a chance that you go through it. Just got to remember, if it's angled and you can't get through it, you're wasting your time. So keep that in mind. This thing can be tanky, but the biggest issue that I have with it is, in fact, the deck armor. Yeah. So as you can see, the deck armor over the Citadel is actually not that bad. It's actually pretty good. But you can see we have 32 millimeters at the front. And then if we go over here, you can see the top is 76 millimeters. Trying to get to the... Oh, because it's this. Okay. And then, of course, you have the 57 millimeters in the middle of the ship. But because the deck armor is so, like, barren, like, there are AA and stuff on this. It's not quite as bad as the Russian for being, you know, punched at distance, but it still does take a lot of damage from plunging fire because the deck is so large and there's so little covering it. So instead of knocking out AA or secondaries, you tend to go and punch through the deck, and it causes a lot of damage. So keep that in mind. It's also nasty against HE. Like, HE just shreds these things, especially from cruisers. But, I mean, that's normal for everybody. But if you look at the Citadel, it's got an interesting Citadel. It's not quite a turtleback, but it's kind of a turtleback. It's kind of weird. But again, we all know about the turtlebacks of the Japanese. Not quite as good as the Germans. So even if it is a turtleback, it's not really going to help you all that much, especially if people get up close and can get good penetration angles. You're just going to get obliterated. It does feel a lot like a Yami in that sense. If you get caught broadside at any sort of medium to close range, you're done. If you get over-angled, they go through this side plating a little bit. It's not quite as susceptible as Yami is to it, but it can still easily be punched right through that bow side plating. So, and the stern, I mean, very similar there as well. But I think it has a more rounded rear end than Yami does. But it also has a little bit easy to punch Citadel from the rear too. So it's just one of those ships where keep your distance if you can, and then as you get close, you've got to really pay attention to your angles. You have to. Otherwise, you're going to be sent back to port very quickly. Overview. Big guns. The ship is armed with high-caliber main battery guns. Fast, above average maximum movement speed. I would say it's average maximum movement speed for a battleship. And then sure shot, shells with a good ballistic trajectory, maintain velocity, making aiming easier. I don't know if that's true. But Izumo, one of the draft designs for a super battleship concept, preceding the appearance of the Yamato-class battleships. This design featured heavy armor and a sufficiently high speed complemented by powerful main battery guns that were unconventionally placed in 3 turrets located at the ship's front end. She was designed in 1935, and to my knowledge, she was never built. But if you look, I mean, it's not a particularly good-looking ship. Let's just be honest. Any of these battleships with all their guns at the front kind of just look weird. With the exception of John Barton Richelieu, which was just more of a unique design with 2 turrets with quad guns. Like, those look halfway decent, but these are interesting. And the downside of this rear turret here is that it's a rear-facing turret, and it's mounted so close to the other 2 turrets that it can't turn all the way around the front. So it has to constantly turn like 270 degrees, which is annoying. I say that, I mean, it literally only has to turn like 180 degrees, but we already know the turn time on these aren't the greatest, and it's just because it's constantly going over the back of the ship and then back out to the front, you're not able to use it as much. It's very annoying. See, who else has that pretty much same issue? Let's say... I want to say Nelson. Nelson has a very similar configuration, I think. But, I mean, it's one of those things where until you're in a firefight and you realize that you're constantly, like, you know, going from left to right, you don't realize just how annoying that is. But, like, if you, for instance, go, I think Lennon has the turret mounted a little bit further back, if I remember correctly. Maybe we'll check that out. But I think Lennon has the ability to have the guns rotate over the front, which means that the guns are almost always where you need them when you need them. Also, nice like button. I just noticed that. There's a bunch of little spots in this port that just kind of stick out, and you catch them over time. But let me know what you guys think. Personally, this is not my favorite of the battleships. I think this is probably the weakest. It's either this or Savetsky, and I think I'm starting to warm up to Savetsky more than this. So let me know what you guys think. We're going to get on to the gameplay. Alrighty, so we're going to be on Atlantic, and we're obviously in the Izumo. We're going to push off to the right side because we spawned over here, and you guys know I like to win my side. Now, what has been my biggest issue with this ship? And honestly, it's just that it doesn't quite live up to what I expected, I guess. I expected it to be a lot tankier than it is. It tends to eat a lot of penetrations that you don't expect. Kind of reminds me of Kansas in that respect. Like if you've ever played Kansas, it's such a wide ship. It catches a lot of rounds from a lot of different angles that you normally would be able to reflect or bounce or just avoid completely. This is a lot similar to that. But overall, it's just that the rest of it's not that it's a bad ship. I'm not saying it's a bad ship. I don't mind playing it. But when you compare it to the other Tier 8 ships, I think that they're all better. So that's why it's, you know, somebody's got to be at the bottom of the list, right? You can't have everybody being number 1. It's just not the way it works. But if I had to list all of the Tier 8 battleships in order from best to worst, I would probably say that Republique is number 1, Maine is number 2, FDG is number 3, and then we would have Savetsky Soyuz in 4th and Izumo in 5th. Now, I've seen some amazing games posted already in Izumo and Savetsky Soyuz, and again, it comes down to play style, what you're getting, and then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what ship you're in. If you get a bunch of people that are just sailing broadside to you in a battleship, like, it don't matter how good the ship is, you're gonna smack them. And this thing does punish broadsides when it decides it's allowed to hit it. So keep that in mind. Like, if you give this thing a broadside, you're playing with disaster. Like, it's gonna hurt. We already showed you that it's got solid AP damage as well, over 14,000 with the gyrating drill bits on. So you gotta respect it. Because if you give this thing a broadside, it's going to punish you. Now, we're going over to the right. There are quite a few cruisers in this one. We also have a single destroyer. And you can see, I'm anticipating potentially being spotted here, so I'm turning out and away. We do get spotted, and we are in a position to return fire. I think this ship probably will do better as a kind of a kiting sort of configuration because of the way the guns are mounted. I think that that would probably be the best way to utilize this thing. But as you can see, we take hits from so many angles that you would expect to bounce some, but they don't because they go through that deck. It's just not preferable. But while these guys are firing at me, I can't really see them. And you can see I'm looking for potential. There we go. Main is over there. We get set on fire twice. You got all the shells coming in, and you can see we're just taking all of them. Now, the raised deck and the... Oh, hello. Hello, Baltimore. Hold these. Wait for it. Come on, baby. Oh, he did not back up fast enough. That's so unfortunate. But watch the guns rotate now. Even kiting away, the front gun can't quite raise up to go over the other guns, so it has to turn all the way back around the other direction. And I don't know if you noticed that the middle gun, the one that's super firing, has to do the same thing, which is stupid. Why is that a thing? Why does that middle turret have to go all the way back around to the front just to go over to the point of aim, when it was literally, like, capable of just turning a few degrees and it would be on target? You see what I'm saying about these guns? Like, they have to sweep all the way around to go back the other direction. And it's so incredibly frustrating. But we're on fire again, double fired. It's just, you know, normal HE spammy things. You gotta love it. We're gonna survive it, no problem. And we're gonna get ourselves back in a fight. But we have to let our teammates get into a fight first. This is one thing that you have to do in this ship. Like, you cannot be the only thing everything shoots at, because if you do, much like the Kansas, you're just going to find yourself in a position where you're just getting punched. And we get a good shot there at the Georges. The guns on this aren't bad. Like I said, it's not that this is incredibly troll. It's not even as troll as the Amagi in my mind. It's pretty freaking accurate more often than not. You're getting more of your targets on hit, or on target. Your shells on target. Good lord. But you can see George is shooting at us because, of course, he is. We're the furthest ship away, and, you know, of course we're going to take all of the hits. That's just the way it is. We're the furthest ship away, but yet we're probably the only one spotted because everybody else is closer to the island, and we're further away. So, more chance for people to see us. Now, the destroyer does get spotted out on the right side, so good to find him finally. And now we're going to start trying to work our way back up closer to the fight. You can see an Amagi about to come around the corner. Our battleship is full broadside to him. So we take a shot at him. He's going to take a shot back at our guy. Our guy smacks him pretty good here. And then, of course, our shells come in, and I believe we finish him off. And there it goes. First kill of the game, and our first citadel of the game. So you love to see it. And that actually did not allow the guy to get a shot off. The teammates managed to kill the destroyer. The destroyer, of all the places he could pop out, pops out right in front of a battleship and a buffalo and another battleship. Like, that's a bad play by the destroyer. But now that we've got rid of the guy that was pushing mid, we're going to push up, try to support mid, as well as help this right side from a different angle. Again, this is all about working for crossfires. Main, full broadside to us. Why? Because he's bow tanking our buddies over there. But look at the accuracy. The accuracy is pretty solid. You love to see it. It's not that the guns are not accurate, because they are decently accurate. But for me, it's the time it takes to constantly readjust your guns when you're in a firefight trying to angle and get to, like when you're turning out, you're trying to get a different spot, they have to relocate, you have to wait for those guns. And it always seems like you're waiting for the guns to get to where they are, or where they need to go. It's really, really frustrating. But you can see, we just smashed that main again. So we've hit him twice, and we've taken half his hit points. And that's without citadels. We haven't even citadeled him. He takes another nasty hit, probably from our Georgia up there. And he's in trouble. He knows he's in trouble. He's full broadside. He's starting to reverse. I thought maybe he might slow down and go forward again, so we don't aim as far to the back as we probably could have. He does get a nasty hit on us, which again just shows, and there's the double citadel kill that we were looking for. The man's broadside, you're begging for it, And this thing does seem to smash citadels on battleships more often than not if they give you a broadside. It does seem to get those citadels. A lot of the battleships will get just regular penetrations and just smack people. But this thing does seem to find the citadel a lot. But we fire at the cruiser and all of a sudden our dispersion goes to crap. But we do get one citadel on him. And we thought that he was going to get moving faster. That's why the last shells that we fired were so far out front. We thought he was going to get moving faster. Thought he was a propulsion mod potentially, but I'm going to say he's probably not. Now, he does fire one more salvo of HE before he dies, and in his death salvo, he's guaranteed a fire. I'm surprised it wasn't a double fire. But since we're in no danger of getting set on fire in the moment, we're going to go ahead, put that out, and, you know, roll the dice and hope that Atago doesn't see us and put a fire or 2 or 3 on us before we get our damage comm back. Now, the right side of the map is pretty decently handled at the moment. There's the Baltimore still over there that we smacked, and then there's the Georgia. This Georgia is actually going to be a pain in my backside, because this man only wants to shoot me. He does end up shooting somebody else right here because I wasn't spotted at the time, but he gets moving forward just fast enough, and I'm sure he's probably using his engine boost to do so, to get behind the island before my shells could reach him. We're looking at Atago out here. Atago is starting to push up on our battleship. It is the Atago versus one battleship out here, and so we got to try to get as many shells on target as possible so that we get rid of this guy as quickly as possible. Now, I don't think he saw these coming. I think he just, you know, dodged for the sake of dodging. But we only catch him with 4 rounds, and they were towards the back of his ship, so we get all overpins. He survives for the moment. Another battleship shoots at him. We got to pay. You can see I'm worried about this Georgia. This Georgia has my broadside, and every time I look over, he's kind of going either forward in front of the island or reversing to the back of the island. And yeah, he's going to be a problem for us because our teammates just refuse to push him. I don't know why, but they do. They just refuse to push him. Now, that Balti should be handled by that Buffalo, no problem, right? Atago goes straight into us. That's a kill. That's our high caliber. That's our 3rd kill of the game. Like, he was doomed. He got too close, flew too close to the sun. He got what he could. Now, oh, that's a rune. It's not a thing, but yeah, our Buffalo should still be able to handle a rune. Remember, Buffalo has super heavy armor piercing, just like the Balti, just like the freaking Des Moines. Should easily be able to handle the rune. Plus, he has battleships to support him, right? Now, if you look at the map, the battleship's actually not in a good place to support him. But Buffalo manages to handle the rune, no problem. That just leaves one battleship that has not been spotted for a long time. Last known is at the back of the map. And one Georgia that's been over here on the on my broadside this entire time. Now, here's where I'm going to make a mistake. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It was a stupid mistake, but it was a mistake nonetheless. And you guys know I like to point him out. Now, he gets spotted. We take the shot. We know he's going to go forward. And honestly, I was hoping he was dead here. Like, this looks good, but again, he gets moving forward just fast enough. I'm assuming he's propulsion mod, but he gets moving just fast enough, and he takes a shot at our broadside because it's the only person he shoots at. But he gets another chunk off of us, and he avoids most of the hits. Now, we do have their other battleship spotted, and initially, you're going to see that I look forward, and I'm like, okay, well, this guy's moving his guns and stuff, so he's clearly playing. But he's really not. He's actually just sitting here he's not doing anything. He's moving, his guns are moving, but yet he's not actually doing anything. So, I don't know exactly what happened. I don't know if this guy DC'd and he just, you know, kept driving forward at like quarter speed or whatever. But, yeah, this worried me because I thought he was still playing and I don't want to go broadside to somebody at 11 kilometers. But this also means that I'm broadside to the guy that's 14.6 kilometers away. Now, he's behind the mountain at the moment, so I'm like, okay, well, I've got a little bit longer. If we can get rid of this Iowa real quick, we'll be okay. And here's the part where I should have been. You can see his guns are starting to turn a little bit. Those are flat. Those are nice. But you can see we're struggling to get through it. We're aiming for the bow side plating here. Don't quite have the pin angles that we're used to with the American battleships. So we're not getting what we'd like to get out of it. Should be shooting superstructure here for sure. Dude's got plenty of health left in that. But we are still broadside to that Georgia. I'm angled away from the Georgia, but now his guns are looking at me, and the Georgia manages to get one good Citadel hit on us right at the end. Now, we took all of the health off the Iowa. He's a one-shot kill. But this George is going to end up killing like 2 more people here. It's ridiculous. He should not be left to do as much as he did because these guys just refuse to push up. Now, he shoots straight through the bow of the Buffalo, no problem. He's going to go right through, kill the Buffalo. And, yeah, I mean, you expect it. And then he's heading for the ram on our Massachusetts. This man, I would love to know what his damage was in this. He just killed me. He now killed the Buffalo. And just as he gets ready to ram this guy, the other teammate manages to kill him and save our Massachusetts. But he was about to have a ridiculous amount of damage, I'm sure. But, yeah, 162,000 damage is my best game so far in this ship. 2,300 base XP with 3 kills. Not bad. Little bit of a mistake there at the end. Misplaying. But let me know what you guys think of Izumo. And if you like what I'm doing, punch the like button. Leave a comment below. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, I will see you in the next video.